everyone, and welcome back. Today in the workshop I have my little trident maple. Some of you remember, there was a large trident maple that I was working on briefly in a few other video series that I had. And that tree was actually not mine. It was actually the gentleman that I work with and use and obtain a lot of my material from, which is John Green Thumb Bonsai. That tree is one of the trees that he actually had for sale and has actually since sold. So it's gone. He went back to him, and about 2 weeks later it was gone. There's a real high demand for really large specimens type stock like this that maybe is a little bit further along in development than what this current tree is here typically. This tree was dug 2 weeks ago from the field, and it had a large trunk coming out here. Of course, the large top, if we spin it, and a couple large branches here in the front, as you see. It had another large trunk, if you will, coming out this direction, and then you can see several larger areas here where there were things that were eliminated previous to it being collected, like for instance this large dead area right here that you can see in the tree. When I got it, unfortunately I was not able to shoot a video of when I initially got the tree, but you can see what the tree looked like right after it was collected right now. Okay, so that's basically what the tree looked like when I received the tree, actually last weekend. So what I had to do first and foremost was figure out the best front for this tree. And the way you're looking at the tree now is what I found. I'll do this a quick 360 for you here so you can see the other sides of the tree. And the reason I selected this as the front will become pretty obvious once you see all the way around this tree and what it looks like. Now, this is probably the largest tree that I have currently and will have. This thing is a behemoth. I can't lift this tree, not that I'm a weakling by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not going to say I can't lift it. I don't choose to lift it by myself. If I have to, I can lift it by myself. I'm not going to be having a good time after the fact. This is one of those trees you can easily hurt yourself on. The nabari on this tree is literally touching the front and the back, and almost, I've got maybe 2 inches side to side where the nabari is not actually touching around this pot. This is the biggest mica pot that I own. So the thing that I like about this view of the tree is, to me, it looks like the tree comes out of the ground this way, then jogs back this direction, and now is moving into this direction. You can see this is my new apex here. And what I'm going to be focusing on doing today with this tree is carving. I've got a new carving bit that I'm going to show you, and we're going to do some carving on this tree to get it kind of into shape. So this spring, when it starts growing and these primary and secondary branches and apex start growing, to start thickening up those areas that we need to be thickened up, it's also going to start rapidly closing those wound sites. So I want to get that done now. I need to carve this area here, and this right here that you see on this region of the tree was actually a large trunk at one point in time that was grown off of here that was completely cut off and allowed to start callousing over. There's a size of about 1/4 left that needs to be healed in right here on the tree, and that's completely healed over. But to me, this looks to me like, if I choose this as the front and do what I'm going to do on this tree as this being the front, it's going to be a really nice formal upright, and it's going to be a really huge trunk. Right now, with this the way it is, it's got a little bit of reverse taper going here. That's why we're going to do some carving here to completely eliminate that reverse taper look. This back here, when I tilt it this way, this is that other trunk that I cut off the back side. Don't know that there's a whole lot that needs to be done there. Maybe just a little bit of cleaning up around the edges, because right here on the front side you're not going to see that, and it also adds to the taper. Up here at the apex, I don't know if you can really see it or not, I don't know where my white paint pen got to. I was looking for it the other day and it seemed to have grown legs. So I took a Sharpie and just kind of carved down, or drew down through here where I perceive the next bit of taper in the new apex to transition will be, and we're going to be eliminating this big lump here and doing some carving on that as well. We've got, you know, primary branches here and here and here. I've got dormant bud sites, and I've got this branch right here, which will probably either stay or be eliminated eventually as well. But there are some dormant buds all over the front of the tree here, as well as the back side of the tree. This big knob right here, which was a branch, this whole thing's going to have to be removed as well. I'm going to have to cut this back because it's creating a reverse taper back here that I don't want. So we're going to have to do some creative carving and some creative things back here on this back side of the tree to kind of get that into shape. I wish that wasn't there, but this is what I have to work with. This was the largest tree that was out in the field. So all the rest of them that are out in the field are going to be smaller than this. Maybe a little bit better material, then again maybe not. You know, it just all depends on the eye of the person that's working with the tree. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about the carving bit. This carving bit I picked up from a company called Fastenal. There's a chain of, it's a fastener store that is a large chain across America. The name of the manufacturer for this carving bit's Blackstone. I was looking for something a little bit better. What I've been using before are called cut saw bits, and they're kind of a burr. It's not really a rapid removal tool. It's more of a burr type tool, and especially with these trident maples, these things get clogged up pretty fast, because if you look, it's just a bunch of diamond tips that are kind of in a mesh situation, and they work great. They just do some rapid removal of material. However, if you don't have a torch, what will happen is they'll get loaded up and they'll look like this, and then they don't work anymore. See, here's the back side where it'd been torched off. Here's the front side where I didn't torch this off for visual purposes. So you got to have a torch to clean these up with. And I'm not talking about a little teeny torch. I'm talking about one of those map gas type torches that the plumber that you would use to fix plumbing pipes, like copper plumbing pipes in your home. So that's an added expense on top of what you already have. So anyway, back to this Blackstone product here. I found this there, and in the world of carving tools, I thought it was fairly reasonable. This bit is made for rapid material removal. You can see it there. It was $51, including tax in my area. So we're going to try this one out. It's a 1/4 inch shank, which means it fits in the die grinder just fine. And I just really think that this is going to do some rapid material removal, and it's not going to clog up because the way that this is shaped is almost like a drill bit, and the drill bit shaped the way it is spirally like this, so for the material to kind of self-clean itself out of this thing. So we're going to get ready actually right now to give this thing a whirl and see how it does. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of carving. However, I'll leave some of this carving initially in the video so you can see. But, you know, watching 10 minutes of me in this whiny machine will be about like watching paint dry. So get this in our tool. Plugged into the wall. Really nice having that situation out here now. Find Find some safety specs so I can see what I'm doing, because I have a feeling this thing's going to let fly some pretty serious chunks of wood. Get some gloves. So if anything happens, I got a second layer of protection. So I cut the gloves instead of my fingers. And we're going to get at it. Wow, that thing is kick-ass. That's a really good tool. I made very quick work of that little section there for sure. I always want to take it a little bit at a time, and I'm going to step back and I'm going to take a look at it and see if there's anything more that I need to remove that will be necessary. Looks like that's just about got it. Need to bring it in just a little bit around the front side here. Take this rear portion off right through here a little bit, but overall I'm very satisfied with that tool. So let me continue on with doing what I'm doing here with that. That was just kind of a demonstration for you, and then we'll take a look at this thing about halfway through the carving process, and then we'll take a look at it again on its final stage. Alright, we're about halfway through the carving on this tree now. And let me tell you something about this little sucker. This little bit right here that I got, it takes the wood away fast. This is ultra rapid removal for carving. So far we've got this one taken care of. We've got the rear taken care of. We've got this one here done, and the one here, and one here. So we've got these areas here taken care of. We're going to get rid of the nodules everywhere and make an indentation so when it calluses over, it'll callus over flat. So here it's not going to be any more reverse taper. It's just going to kind of come around and callus over and work its way up. Same thing with this secondary trunk here. I went ahead and just kind of made a little bit more of a taper on that. So now really we only have two more areas left to do, and that's going to be this front area and the apex. Now this front area I'm going to saw it off with a saw, and then I'll do the carving work after the saw part's done. So it is going to have a nasty scar in the front of this tree, but it's going to be necessary for the final design of this tree. And I'm pretty confident with seeing the healing capabilities of this particular tree, just like the other trident maple that I have, that in 4 to 5 growing seasons, even though these wound sites are very large, that the majority of them will be 100% closed over. So let's continue on with the carving, and then we'll come back after we get that done, and we'll take a look at the tree for the final design for this year and the initial styling of this tree really as well. Stick with us. Okay, we're finished with the carving for this year, and hopefully we're finished with the carving altogether. As you can see, I've left 3 branches on the tree. Left this one here, which is going to be our primary. This one here is going to be a secondary, and then the apex. There will be some buds popping off on this side as well as over here on this side, as well as the back. There are some dormant buds throughout this entire tree. So we will have some more branching coming out this spring. But I want to stress the importance of when you get a piece of material like this, that you go ahead and take care of all the major carving work at the same time you're doing the major root reduction work. One of 2 reasons. Number one, it's already to the point where it's stressed to the max. Doing what I did to it's not going to cause any more stress than what's already been done to this tree, because it's been ripped out of the ground and the entire root base sawed off flat. Number 2, this tree will bleed. It's not going to bleed as much if you do it now than if you wait till next year, because you're going to have a nice root base, root structure established in the pot, which is going to uptake more water and more nutrients and things along those lines. We want to be focusing on healing more so than on bleeding out the resources that the tree has sustained throughout the growing season. As you can see right here in the front, the tool got a little away from me. It put a little across the front face of this tree right here. Not a big deal. It'll heal over. Not too horribly concerned about that. It should be alright. Now what we're going to do is, in this spring, I'm going to pour the nitrogen fertilizer to this tree. I'm going to let it explode with growth. I'm going to allow this branch, and especially the apex, to grow unchecked for the next 2 years to possibly 3 years. I'm going to let the wire bite into each one of these branches before I remove it. The reason I do that is because, number one, this tree is going to grow so fast that those wire scars will grow out in about 1 growing season. But number 2, if I let the wire bite into these branches, it's going to set those branches in place. So I've got the branches pretty much where I want them for the final design of the tree. Now I just want to set them there. I don't want to have to unwire it and have it move and then rewire it again. I'm going to let it set into position now, and then as it grows out, those wiring scars will disappear, just like on the other trident maple that I have. So I only have 1 more branch to remove on this tree, but I'm going to go ahead and just do a 360 for you here. This branch right here is just kind of here as an anchor point for the wire that I use to wire this branch. I wired the apex in this branch over here on the same run of wire, if you will. But I wanted an anchor point for the wire for this branch as well, so that's why this is here. So let's do a quick 360, and I'm going to tell you, that bit that I got is a massive material removing bit. This is the other little branch I have to remove here before it goes back out on the bench, but something that's not big of a deal right now. It's a dead branch. So it's just a matter of cutting it off real quick. But that tool removed material on this thing like nobody's business. And I want to stress to you, now that I have experience working with this bit, that you want to take it easy. You don't want to just get in there and start trying to move a ton of material. Let the bit do the work for you, because I'm telling you, this thing removes material so fast that you can tend to get carried away. I was up here doing a little bit of fine detail work on the apex, and it just caught and took off out of my hands because of the power of the tool. And that's how I got that little zip right there in the front. I was down here carving this area, and it just caught and took off. So you do need to be careful. But there's the tree. Like I said, look at, compared to me, it's a very large tree. If I had to guess, the base is in that 15-inch range. Up in here, we're probably about 12 to 13 inches, or maybe even more. So it's a massive tree, and this is going to be the biggest tree I'm going to have in my collection. With which, as much as this thing weighs, and me not being able to handle this thing by myself easily or safely, I don't want anything larger than this in my collection. I want to be able to manipulate and move and carry my trees in and out of my workshop without the need of assistance, if at all possible. So we're going to put this one out in the benches and feed it the nitrogen fertilizer, water it very thoroughly, and let it do its thing. Thank you for watching.